In the previous segments, we've looked at the bike control skills you need and the mental skills to recognise harm. In this segment, let's look at the vital third link in the harm triangle, the ability to exercise self-control. For most people, riding is more than just an economical means of transport. There's another dimension to it. It feels good. Let's call this the fun and freedom factor. Probably the hardest thing about riding is having the self-control to keep this fun and freedom factor in check. There's a fine line between enjoying your riding and taking high risks without thinking things through.
Self-control skills are very important on the road because you've got to be disciplined as a rider. You've got to be aware of everything around you all the time.
Do a lot of silly things, overtaking vehicles when other incoming vehicles are coming through, yeah. Taking the odd 1 or 2 chances in life, yeah.
Well, it is a good feeling, especially if it pays off. Like if you pop a good wheel stand, well, you know, you feel pretty good. But then if you flip it, you're in a lot of trouble. And the slides are usually good. They've got a good feeling. I guess they're adrenaline pumping, but that's the same thing with that. If it let go, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
There is a certain element of that peer pressure, especially when you're riding with friends and some of them are going faster than you. And I think initially I used to get really caught up in that and try and, you know, get closer and closer and ride as fast as other people. But I suppose an age thing, as you get older, you realise that, you know, your limits. And so now I find that I don't have that urge to keep up as much. I just enjoy the riding and go as fast as I feel comfortable. But that's a hard thing to do because some days, you know, someone overtakes you and does those sort of things and you want to keep up.
Like everyone goes to that stage where they want to show off in front of their friends, but I suppose we have, you know, a few times just done stupid things, but usually someone in the group will pull you into line.
I try to think of the expense of the bike, trying to fix it if I come off, and then myself in hospital and time off work and things like that. That's how I try to keep myself in control.
In this segment, we'll look at how to keep a safe balance between enjoying your riding and high-risk riding. We'll give you some ideas on how to stay in control of yourself so you can enjoy riding as long as you like, rather than remember how good riding used to be. What do we mean by high-risk riding? It's when we put ourselves in a position where we depend upon luck to get us through, or where one mistake can cost us big time. It's when we put ourselves in a potentially dangerous situation to get some minor benefit. We might do this deliberately or without thinking. As you can see from this risk meter, at the moment the risk is low. Now this is higher risk riding. As the rider approaches the curve, his visibility is reduced. He doesn't back off enough, so he's increasing his level of risk. It's potentially dangerous. A car cutting the corner, gravel on the road, a strip of water, or just about anything could be in the rider's survival space, and the rider is risking a crash. Taking this level of risk, what's in it for the rider? What's the so-called benefit? Some riders might say the excitement, or being seen as a quick rider. Here's another example. A potentially dangerous situation. Though the car driver should stop here, if he doesn't, the rider might not be able to avoid crashing. How has this riding action benefited the rider? It saved a bit of effort, maybe, the effort of slowing down and moving away, but he was risking his life to do that. And this is risk-taking too. It's potentially dangerous because if the car stops suddenly, the rider will crash into it. What's the benefit? The rider would probably say it means no one else gets the space, but he was risking a crash to do that. In serious single-vehicle crashes, more often than not, alcohol is involved. The rider was over the limit. Combining alcohol, drugs and riding is extremely dangerous. Risk-taking is putting ourselves in potentially dangerous situations, risking a crash, risking injury and even death for some benefit. The so-called benefit of getting there quicker, being accepted, looking cool. So how do we keep in control? As riders, we don't have to park the bike in the shed and grow old with it. The first step in making decisions about risk-taking is accepting that we have to look after our own survival, not hand it over to other road users or leave it to luck. So instead of thinking, bloody idiot took me out, there was stuff all I could do about it, We could instead say, I let him into my survival space. If I'd been more awake, I would have seen him and got out of the way, but I didn't give myself enough time to react. Now, this sort of response takes some self-control. It's a, there must have been something I could have done, attitude to riding, which is great for learning more about risks, because it helps us learn from every mistake. We went into that corner too fast. Missed seeing that. Got to take more notice of the road surface. Moved in too early on that one. That's a dumb place to sit. I should have realised the driver wouldn't have been able to see me. If we guard our survival space so no cars or other road users can get into it, and the road surface is good, we're keeping down our level of risk. When a situation is riskier, slow down or move away from the danger. Thoughtful riding makes bike control look easy, but it also takes self-control, quite a bit of it. Even with some self-control, there'll be times when other thoughts or feelings push your risk meter up too high. Let's look at a Sunday ride with a group of mates. A sunny day, great curves, great views. What could be better? Something inside is pushing. Something is to take unacceptable risks. We want to be first to the checkered flag. Maybe we're too lazy to put on protective clothing. We want to be young and carefree, rediscover our youth. We think we should keep up with our mates. We feel the need to prove ourselves, even if it means taking unnecessary risks. These are feelings that aren't easy to deal with. We've all felt them at one time or another.
My worst mistake ever was I came around a corner too fast in the wet one day, and as I came around the corner there was a diesel on the road. I smelt the diesel a split second before the front end of the bike disappeared, and my next recollection was the bike spinning around in front of me as I lay on my backside sliding across the road. You live and learn, I guess. Now when it rains I just back off a little bit extra.
If it's a beautiful sunny day and you're out riding with friends, it's very easy to get a bit carried away and you know, go enjoying the moment and all that sort of thing.
Let's look at a plan we can use to keep the fun and freedom factor under control. The plan has two parts. First, look at ourselves riding, and second, consider the choices open to us. Let's look at ourselves riding and watch the situations we get ourselves into. This might be in curves, in traffic, or with mates. Once we have recognised the risk-taking situation, go to the next step. Consider the choices that are open to us. 1. Choose the potential danger and high risk and how this benefits you. Or 2. Choose a safe alternative and the benefits of this choice. Let's consider the potential danger in the high risk approach. Take a look at these bikes from a local repair shop. This one crashed at 60 kilometres an hour. It will cost around $4,000 to fix. This bike crashed at 40 kilometres an hour. It's a total write-off. We all know that repairing or replacing a bike is expensive, far too expensive, and the human cost can't be measured in dollars. Not all crashes have this outcome, but there's a chance we'll fall off some stage. What are the so-called benefits in the high-risk approach to riding? Saving some effort by not slowing down and moving away, looking cool, being seen to be quick, and so on. Are these real benefits? Is it worth getting injured, or worse?
I think the biggest trap is being caught into travelling too fast, trying to keep up with the other bloke.
Yeah, if I was riding with a group of people and they took off, I'd probably stop and have a cigarette.
Because I've had a couple of mates killed on the road, so it actually makes you ride a little bit more careful. Actually, as we ride as a group, we actually ride very sensibly.
Now consider the safe alternative and its benefits. Save you heaps of money, save you all the aggro, no painful injuries, no grief for family and friends, no downside. The safe alternative can take a lot of self-control, but it will help us enjoy riding for as long as we want to ride.
You've just seen how to make calculated decisions about risk-taking. The choice is yours. You can choose the high risk or the low risk alternative. Look at yourself riding and consider the choices. If you want a long and enjoyable life riding your bike, choose the low risk every time.